everyone, welcome back to Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. My name is Stacy. I have a fun, inexpensive thing for you now. I am using pizza pan from the Dollar Tree. If you can't find a pizza pan at the Dollar Tree, you could probably also make this work on a charger plate or one of those plastic trays, like the acrylic trays that are in their party section. A lot of people are saying they're having a hard time finding these, but mine just got a shipment in brand new this week, so hopefully they're coming back and you'll be able to find them. Then I'm going to be using my splatter screen as my pattern. You can cut it just a hair bigger than the splatter screen and it will fit perfectly. And I have this set of 2 boxes from the Dollar Tree. So it's got this amazing red truck on one side and it's got Santa's belly and belt on the other. I wanted to do the Santa one. I've been doing a lot of red truck stuff lately, so I thought, well, let's switch it up a little bit. And when I saw this box with the Santa front on it, I immediately thought of a pizza pan. So I thought this would be a really cool project for this. So what I'm going to do is move my pan out of the way for right now. I'm going to open this up. Oh, I didn't even realize it has this nice buffalo check on the inside of the box. I hadn't even opened it yet. I'm going to take those 4 spots and open them up. And then I'm going to take my pizza, or my strainer, that I'm going to use as my pattern, and I'm going to center the knob on the belt. Okay, I want that belt to go right across the middle, and then center it side to side, and then draw your line. If you make it a tiny bit bigger, it'll fit exactly. If you just cut it as it is, it'll leave you a little bit of a space for trimming. Please disregard my annoying dogs. Alright, using a good pair of scissors, go ahead and cut out that circle. Cut it as nicely as you can. Alright, I am going to set this aside for a minute, and I'm going to take some alcohol. This is just rubbing alcohol. And I'm going to take a little piece of sandpaper and just kind of scratch up around the edge of my pan. These are really slick and shiny, so if you don't scratch it up a little bit, the paint that you're going to put on it and the Mod Podge doesn't stick as well. So if you take the time to just, you don't have to do a wonderful perfect job of it, but if you scratch up that surface just a little bit, your stuff will stick better. And then I'm just going to take a paper towel. I keep these little half sheet paper towels on hand, a perfect size for the craft room, and some alcohol, and just get all that dust off of there. Get it nice and clean. Alright, look at that. Just start with a clean, roughed up surface and you can't go wrong. Alright. Next I'm going to paint just the edges with some black chalk paint. You could take this outside and spray it with spray paint. Anything like that would work. I just am going to use black chalk paint because I have it handy sitting right here on my desk. It's going to take a couple of coats. You could also do this edging in white and that would be fine. I just think black is what I want to use. And then I'll use some white fur trim, and I think it's just all going to come together and look nice at the end. But you do whatever you would like to do. And make sure you come in a little bit with it. Don't just stay right on the edges, because when you cut your art with that splatter screen, it's not an exact fit. So make sure you come in from the edge just a little. I'm just painting the edges on this one because my piece of art is on a piece of cardboard, so you're not going to be able to see through it. If you were using window clings or a napkin or something like a thin piece of paper to Mod Podge on, you'd want to paint this whole pan because you will see that yucky line. Okay, it's pretty much dried because I'm doing thin coats, so I'm going to go ahead and put a second coat on my edge. You never want to go too thick in one coat with chalk paint because it doesn't cover any better than a thin coat, and it takes longer to dry, and you have to let chalk paint dry in between coats or it just makes a mess. And you can hit it with a heat gun to help it dry a little faster if you want. All right, it usually takes about 3 coats to get a good coverage. And I get a lot of comments and questions about how to keep the paint from scratching off of a surface. The first thing I say is make sure you prepare your surface. Did you sand it? Did you wipe it down with some alcohol? Did you break that shiny surface that was on there when you bought it? Okay, that's the first thing you need to do. And then some people say, well, chalk paint will just dry on all by itself. I have found that chalk paint will scratch off of metal no matter what you do to it, unless you put a coating over the top. And what I use for my coating is Mod Podge. So when I go to Mod Podge, whatever piece I'm putting in the middle, I just go ahead and coat everything. And then at the very end, when the whole project is done, before I put on the bows and baubles and anything I might add to it, I go ahead and take it outside and spray it with a clear coat of spray paint. I like both the Rust-Oleum brand and the Krylon brand. They both work nicely. You can get a clear glaze as well in the craft section and at craft stores, but that doesn't protect any better in my experience. It costs more and it smells worse. It's got a really strong smell on it, and it takes a long time for that smell to dissipate. So I've got 3 coats. I'm liking the way it looks. I need to hit it with the air gun and get it dry. All right, once you have your painting done and you're ready to Mod Podge, make sure you wash your hands first, because any paint that you have on your hands will stick to that Mod Podge, and you could get some paint transfer onto your piece, and you don't want that. So I've gone ahead and just poured a glob of Mod Podge. My bucket's getting very dry. And I'm going to go ahead and brush over the sides first, just so I don't forget to do them. Just sealing in my paint. This is going to keep it from scratching. Black chalk paint will, in my experience, start looking dull and dirty, and it's really hard to clean it and dust it. So if you put the Mod Podge on it and then cover it with a clear coat at the end, you get it just a nicer looking piece. Alright, so I'm going to spread my Mod Podge around in the middle. Oops, I got a bug that just landed in my Mod Podge. Get him out of there. Alright. Spread my Mod Podge around. I got a couple goobers because this is the bottom of my jug. Just getting those out. Alright, then I'm going to take my piece, and I haven't done any hangers or anything, so front and back doesn't matter right now. Just going to stick that down in the middle and roll it out. The reason I roll it is because it gets the puddles of Mod Podge out from underneath of the piece, and it helps smooth out any wrinkles and bubbles, and it makes it just stick really well down to the pizza pan. Just be careful because these little prongs on the end of your roller will scratch your paint if you rub it up against there, so be careful. But watch how the glue oozes out as I roll it. That's a good thing. You want that, because that means that you're getting a nice thin even coat underneath, and that the Mod Podge is moving, so you're going to have Mod Podge under every little square inch of that piece of art. This I didn't get quite centered. It's sitting a little high, but that's alright. It's still within the pan edge. I could peel it up and center it a little better if I wanted to, but I don't think it's necessary. Really roll down right here where that little fold is from where you cut. I had to cut the side of the box into it. Ooh. There's some real Mod Podge under there. Alright, once I see Mod Podge all the way around, I know I've pretty much got it. Okay, now you can do it one of two ways. You can let it dry completely before you put your Mod Podge down, but this is a thick enough piece that I think we can go ahead with it. So, I don't know if I said or not, but I'm using matte finish Mod Podge. I like it better. I think it helps to hide any bubbles or wrinkles that sometimes appear in a Mod Podge project. Just smooth it on. I just kind of go in circles at first, and then I go back and move all my brush strokes to go in the same direction. That is not sticking down right there right now. I think when it's a thick piece like this, that putting the the top coat of Mod Podge on here immediately helps to soften up that cardboard from the box, and I think it's going to help it settle in a little better. And then once it's dry, you can roll it again and maybe fix any little bubbles that happen. Get plenty around the edges. Alright, now this one just needs to sit and dry. Alright, my Santa pan has dried the Mod Podge on it, and I'm liking how it's looking. So the next thing I'm going to do, because it's starting to get late and I'm going to be going to bed soon, is I'm going to go ahead and attach the hanger to the back, and then it can dry overnight and I won't have to worry about it. I still have some decorating I want to do to the front, but I want to get that hanger on since it's going to be able to sit overnight and dry. So what I like to do is take a pencil, find where the center top is, and I just kind of make a little line on the back of my pizza pan where the center is, and then that way I know where my hanger needs to go. Now there's lots of options that you can use for a hanger, and I forgot to grab one of these at the Dollar Tree to show you, but I want to tell you about something fun I've discovered. They have some cell phone rings. It's like on a little rectangle of plastic, and it's a metal ring, and it's self-adhesive, and you can just stick it on there and be done. And those are great, but if you don't want to bring up the price of your project by $1, then maybe that's not what you want to do. If you don't have those, you can just use jute. And what I do for the jute is I just cut a piece, I don't know, 10 inches long, maybe 8 inches long, and I double it over and I tie a knot. Now you don't need a big huge loop for these. You can run some trim around and have an exposed hanger. I have done that in the past. But for this one, I'm going to just have a blind hanger on it. So I've tied my loop. I'm making sure that the knot is tight. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and trim these off just a little bit. I'm going to leave some tail on there. And I'm going to use a combo of E6000 and hot glue to attach this. And I'm also going to use one of these wood circles. It came from that bag of wood that I've been using for a long time. They are an inch, not quite an inch and a half, well, almost an inch and a half, maybe an inch and a quarter around, and that's just going to help make the hanger look a little nicer. Sorry, my E6000 lid is stuck. I forgot the Vaseline on it when I closed it up last time. If you have Vaseline on your craft desk, just keep it handy and put a little bit on the threads here before you put your lid back on, and it will stay easy to open. As you can see, I have forgotten the last few times to do that, and I have a mess, but that's a thing for another day. All right, so I've got my line up here. That's the top, and I'm going to put a nice bead of E6000 across there, and I'm going to put another bead a little bit down so I have like an equal sign. I'm just going to check. I'm not putting it down in there yet. And then I'm going to put a bead of hot glue across the middle. And then I'm going to just push my knot down into the glue. And then I'm going to put E6000 into the puddle underneath, over the top of my hanger, and to the puddle underneath. Let them touch, just the E6000 to the E6000 and the hot glue to the hot glue, and that will help, just to help it stick down. Okay. My knot is a little chunky, so I don't think I'm going to use this because it would be sitting up too high. So I'm going to take my hot glue now from the puddle I put in before, go over the knot and into the puddle I did before. Okay, then I'm going to just let that sit overnight and dry, and it'll be ready to go in the morning. It's not the most beautiful hanger. That's why I'm suggesting that you could use those hangers from the Dollar Tree, or those cell phone rings. You know, they're the ones that you put your finger in on the back of your cell phone so that you won't drop your phone. Pretty ingenious invention. Anyway, that's a good thing you can use it for. Alright, I'm going to let that dry overnight. Alright, so this hanger has dried, so you can see the hot glue right here, but there is E6000 right here and right here that's going to keep that from peeling off, and you can either go and trim these tails off or you can just leave them. I had intended to glue down here a little farther, but I put my glue up a little bit too high, so I kind of wanted it glued below the knot, but I kind of messed up. So anyway, it's not as invisible as I wanted it to be. That's just learn from my mistakes. Alright, so I've got Santa's tummy and belt here, all dry and ready to go, and it just needs to have some trim. So what I'm going to use for trim is this from Walmart. It's the Chenille Chunky yarn. Get the glare off of there. And this is kind of an off-white. I went to 3 different Walmarts and none of them had pure white. I think somebody's crocheting some baby blankets or something. But I wanted something that wasn't rope. I wanted it to be white, and I wanted it to look like fur. And I could find some fur at Hobby Lobby in their trim section, but it was really expensive and I didn't want to put that much money into a pizza pan wreath. So I got the idea of chunky yarn, and it took me 3 Walmarts to find it, and I ended up with just an off-white. But I think the off-white kind of goes okay with the white of what's on here already. So the first thing I need to do is figure out where the end is of this thing. I think I'm just going to have to tear this open to do that. There it is. And I've got my glue gun heating up. And because I've Mod Podged this and my design goes pretty close to the edge, I don't have to worry about using E6000 because I'm not going to be gluing this just to the metal. So it has something else to adhere itself to. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at a 45-degree angle because I think that'll be easier to match up my ends at the end when they come together. And I'm going to start over here where the holly is because I intend to put some holly on there as a decoration. I don't want to put too many bows and things on here, so I'm going to go with that. So I'm just going to put a bead of glue, and I'm going to do small sections at a time. And I'm going to put my 45 going this direction so that when it comes around, it'll be there to glue into. Okay, so that's glued down. And I'm just going to pull it back, and I'm going to glue around all the way around my pan. Make sure that first section is small so that you get it stuck down. So as you're pulling it along, you're not going to pull it off. Okay, and just kind of squish it in there as you go. Okay, turn your pan as you need to. I think this chunky yarn is going to be a nice addition to my stash for trimming pizza pans, even if it's not Santa Claus. I can see like some Easter bunny ones trimmed in this. I think that would be nice. So don't worry that you're just going to buy this trim and only use it on one thing, because if you're a resourceful crafter, you will find other ways of using something that's this nice. This is so soft and fluffy. I'm really happy with it. And I think this costs $6 and some change. I think it was almost $7 for this whole roll of it. And let's see, does it tell us how much is on here? It does not. It says a round pillow would take two skeins of it, or skeins, or skeins, or however you pronounce that word. I don't know. I'm just kind of pushing it back towards the edge of the pizza pan. Oh, and I was also thinking it'd be cute to hang a little bell right here, but I don't know if I have any gold ones. I have to look. I found some silver ones, but I have to look one more place. I forgot to look for a bell. Alright, so I'm coming to the edge and figuring out where my ends are going to meet, and then I'm cutting that at a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to glue this down, and a little extra glue where the ends will meet. And because this is so chunky and fuzzy, I don't even think you're going to see. If you fluff it together while the glue is wet, I don't even think you're going to see it. Look at that. Can't really even tell that that's where the ends meet. Actually, right here. Can't tell. And I think that looks really cute. Alright. Let me go look for that bell. I'll be right back. Alright, I do have one gold bell. And I'm thinking of just hanging, sorry, the bell right there. Right where that bell is on the picture. And I'm wishing I had done that before I glued down the trim. So what I'm going to do is tie a few knots into this bell hanger to try to make it a little more substantial of a string to glue to, because I don't need that much length on the string. I just need something solid to glue to. And it's going to be a little difficult because the string is shorter than my finger is around. I want to glue this bell, but I don't want to have to put a bow or anything there to cover it. So I'm going to pull back as much as I can on my fuzzies, and I'm going to put some glue in there, and it's a substantial amount, and I'm going to put the string of the bell in there and kind of push it in with my finger covering, and I'm going to kind of push the bell in. Okay. Like I say, I don't really want to put a bow on it. I'm going to put a little bit of glue underneath the bell just to kind of help it. Gluing metal with hot glue is not always your best. And then I'm going to slide it down and center it over, oops, sorry, over the real picture of the bell. Okay. And so it's going to look like that. And then I have this little pick. Let's see, still got a tag on it. It probably came from Michael's, is my guess. From one of their clearance boxes after Christmas is where I get most of my greenery. And I like how it looks all together. So I'm going to go ahead and clip the end a little shorter with my wire cutters. And I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to stick it up underneath over here and put that right on top of where the holly is on Santa's outfit. Although I kind of like it up here as well, but then I have 2 batches of holly and I don't like that. So, let me make it a little bit shorter yet. I don't want it to come apart, but I want it to be short enough. And it's coming apart. Darn it. Okay. So I'm going to put a little glue on here to hold everything together. And I'm going to kind of up where I did the ends where it came together. I'm going to push that in up into there. And let that kind of just let everything get stuck in there. I'm going to pump in a little more glue, push down that pine cone, and I think having these extra berries hanging out is okay, but you decide what you like to do on that. And voila, we are done with this little Santa hanger, and I think it turned out so cute. I don't know if that's in the box design and I didn't notice it, or if that's something that happened while the Mod Podge was drying. See that scratch there? I'm going to take some steel wool 000 or 000, and I will buff that out, and then I will spray it with a clear coat and it'll go away. I'm not going to do that and show you on this video because it is raining at my house right now and I can't go outside and do that. So anyway, that's what we've got. Alright guys, there you have it, my Santa Claus suit pizza pan wreath idea. Let me know what you're thinking about this project in the comment section below. If you like this project, please give it a thumbs up. That helps my channel to grow. And let me know if this is something you might make for yourself. Or are you tired of pizza pans? It seems to be a really popular craft that's really picking up right now. And do you like the bell and the little holly pick on there, or would you just leave it flat with the picture that was already on there? Alright, let me know what you're thinking. This has been Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.